All right, so for the budget message, just to get it on the recording, Jerry Brummer, Lori York, and Janice Flagel are the citizens on the budget committee. The two commissioners present are Brian Barney and Susie Hermert. And Janice is serving as the budget chair. All right, so with continued growth in the county's property tax valuation for 26-27, the estimated growth in property tax revenue for the district for the coming year is 5%. This year's budget includes assessing the full taxing value of 12.07 cents per thousand evaluation. Personnel costs are budgeted for the fiscal year 2026 that reflect the continued position of a permanent office lead, one FTE extension office coordinator, and additional part-time help, which could be used to provide staff support when needed throughout the year. Examples of additional need include county fair time, as well as requirements of training, which could leave the office without front desk coverage. Position descriptions were significantly modified in March of 2026, which resulted in new salary schedules for both FTE positions. This resulted in an overall reduction in total salary requirements. Health insurance costs are up, both in total cost and as a result of personnel changing their insurance options. The additional cost items in this budget category are in contribution to full-time employee retirement accounts, 401k, and FICA. As a result of an agreement that took effect July 1 of 2023, the service district will continue ownership of both the extension office building and the Clover building, and leasing the land from the county for $1 a year. Materials and services is a large category that includes everything from office supplies to travel expenses, as well as transfers to OSU for a portion of staffing costs. This budget includes the intergovernmental services of $66,300, a transfer to OSU for 4-H enrollments, IT support, and 0.4 FTE of post-support for the continued family and community health programming. This budget does not include support for regional master gardener or open campus programming in Crook County. Efforts to balance this year's budget requires a suspension of the service district funding for these programs. A breakdown of the OSU intergovernmental services transfers includes $39,300.4 FTE for FCH nutrition programming, $14,000 for 4-H membership, approximately 450 youth, and $13,000 for IT support. County administrative costs are $45,000 as calculated by the county. These costs include county services of finance, $18,000, legal, $6,000, administration, $15,000, and HR services of $6,000. In FY 2025-26, this cost was $51,000. The contracted repairs is $15,000, budgeted for small building repairs and maintenance. Contracted services, $30,000, budgeted includes janitorial, landscape maintenance, and service agreements for heating and cooling systems. Education and training line item has been reduced this year and includes funds for professional development costs for county and OSU staff housed within the county office. This line item also includes local workshop costs that may be experienced but anticipated to be reimbursed through sponsorship or workshop fees collected. Capital outlay is estimated to be $25,000 for major building improvements and $30,000 for vehicle replacements. While there are no identified projects or vehicles purchases at this time for fiscal year 26-27, funds are being allocated and shown to be spent in case needs arise during the year. Ending fund balances have been declining for the last 2 years and will end up lower for fiscal year 26. Fiscal year 2025 and 26 is estimated to end with a fund balance of $376,433. Ending fund balances were $476,533 and $398,186 for fiscal years 23-24 and fiscal years 24-25 respectively. A slightly larger ending fund balance for this current year is anticipated due to the lower personnel and governmental transfers. Ending fund balance for 2026 is anticipated to be $344,000, $54,000 less than fiscal year 2025. With thoughtful spending during the next year, actual ending fund balance should be positive when compared to this year and ending the 3-year decline. Respectively submitted, me. So just to kind of go through this packet, that might help with maybe some questions later on, answers. The first deal is history. The Extension Service District. On page 8 is the citizen membership of the Extension Advisory Committee with your terms, expiration dates. On the Extension Operating Fund, summary. Due to the closing and consolidation of Building Reserve Fund and Vehicle Reserve Fund into the Extension Operating Fund at the end of fiscal year 2023, the Extension Operating Fund accounts for all operating activity of the Extension Service District, including personnel, service contracts with OSU, building maintenance, upkeep, and vehicle replacement. For fiscal year 27, we're anticipating tax revenues of $476,000. And then the $376,000 to be rolled over from this fiscal year. Total resources available will be $852,000. The largest source of revenue is property taxes. $414,000. Property taxes are potential property tax amounts are being reduced because of a $8,500 holding. That holding is occurring in this year and next year both. If and when it occurs, it'll only occur once. But this is for a major utility who is appealing their property tax assessment in the 3 counties. And when that assessment is finally determined, we may have to refund for the year that was there in question, and that's the $8,500 to the service district. Assessed value for 27 is projected to be 4.7% increase in the property tax collections. Your personal property tax should only be going up 3%. And this is based on historical trends plus an estimate of new commercial properties coming onto the tax rolls during the year. Appropriations, the major categories for appropriations, materials and services, and capital outlay. The largest budgeted appropriation is in the materials and services of $249,000. Personnel at $236,000 for 2 full-time FTE and 0.2 FTE. We've already explained that. Capital outlay $55,000 for building and vehicle. Again, $25,000 is building, $30,000 is vehicle. With an additional being $50,000 being put in contingency, and then the remaining $262,000 is being held in reserve. Could be budgeted if some emergency came up, but it's not intended. It's intended not to be spent. Well, the next couple of pages are just more detail of the major categories. I don't know if anybody has any questions about those. We can come back to that. Page 12. The first graph. Shows kind of where we're at today. You can see that for this year, we're in the original 2026 budget. Showed revenues far exceeding, or expenditures far exceeding revenues. We changed that to where today it's just slightly above expenditures above revenue. And then 27, it still will be that way. The 5-year forecast, that's kind of where you see how things are going to change. I think the big points to point out are in fiscal year 2028. You see that revenue is going to go up about $130,000. That's why I use the word suspend. For some of those programs we weren't able to fund this year, is because you'll have an opportunity to think about how you want to spend those revenues next year. And then 2029, it just keeps climbing. The next, so 28's when the first data center contracts come on the books. That's why that 130,000. And then in 2023 is when another set come on, and that's where the other big jump in revenue. And the reason that total resources is climbing so rapidly after 2028 is expenditures are kind of being held to a minimum. So again, in 2028, this group will need to decide if you have a use for that extra revenue, if you want to return some of that revenue back to the taxpayers in the form of not assessing the full tax rate. So, well, I guess I would strongly encourage all of you to start thinking about, what kind of programming you would like to see OSU provide and others maybe in the coming years, and then you can decide what you can afford or not afford. But you really need to start thinking about that now, because 12 months will go by pretty quick. The next on page 13, it shows again after this year how the ending fund balance begins to grow. With after this year, revenues always exceeding expenses. And this is based on spending about 96% of the personnel costs budgeted. And I think it's 88% of materials and services. So if you want to look at, since everybody liked the super big printout, if you want to dive into more of the line item details, I did print out that version. So you could see what was going on. I made 12 of them, so let's make sure the commissioners and advisory committee budget committee get one first, and then, but everybody has this in your email.
Brianna did mine and then expanded, but for whatever reason, I have to be up and down.
Oh,
I have done that. That's easy.
Kim made this big enough we can read it.
Actually, I think you are right. It's pretty good. You have one, Scott?
Dennis,
I need one. Looks pretty thick here, so I think we're good. Actually, there's extras. So
Oh, if there's extras, pass them on
if you
down.
want to take one, then I'll pass it back.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes. Okay, this is way big.
What easier
I
to
said
read.
to her, I said, I want you to make this big for me. And I said, "Oh, no." She tried.
Well,
Okay, I like this.
see, I can
quite-
take mine off because it's that big.
It's not quite. I like it. I like this one from last time when we had the first meeting.
So, Tim, is there any chance that data centers could renegotiate on that 2028, or is that's just pretty well gonna happen then?
Pretty well gonna happen. There's still some unknowns, as what I know. And the unknowns is how they may deal with the servers, some of the inside the building, things that have a shorter lifespan, need to be replaced on some frequent revolving schedule. But the buildings and stuff, no, when they come off, they won't be renegotiated. Am I correct?
Pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. It's central assessment, so it's
Yeah.
the state that does it, it's not the county.
Right, yeah, that's the big kicker. That's why there's probably more unknowns than whatever it is, because the state is doing the assessments. They do the assessments on all commercial buildings. And so local assessor does, well, local retail and home residential, and then the large commercial stuff is state.
What worries me more than the data centers is the state trying to get some money out of
Yeah.
it. So I think
Yeah.
that's a bigger worry.
So I opened the hearing for public comment, so that's anybody can comment on that, not just the budget,
Committee.
the 5 budget committee people that are here tonight. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and raise them now.
Just for clarification on the context test. Is that for like the administrator, legal?
So,
all that sort of thing?
the line item intergovernmental transfer is all the OSU stuff. 66,000. The contracted services, the line above that, is the county admin fee of $45,000.
Which if you remember is down from 51.
Yeah.
So that's just to make the county look good.
We're getting into this next.
Yeah, yeah.
And the 66,000 again, it's the total of that 0.4 FTE of the nutrition program of, that's 39,400 or 300. It's 4-H membership, so the extension office charges an annual membership fee to the 4-H kids signing up. And $30 of that goes to the state. And so I think I calculated, this year we had 430 something kids, and so I rounded up, said for next year 450. It could be a little higher, but it's it's a revenue neutral, what comes in goes out. And then it also includes the 13,000 for IT support.
That's internet and IT support.
Right.
And that's from.
Which is
That's
very
from all.
expensive all the time.
Well, the only, yeah. Yeah, internet can be expensive depending on where you are.
The actual internet provider subcontractor is TDS. TSD, whatever their initial
We
run.
used to be big
Yeah.
table.
Yeah, bad Crestview Cable, for the good old days.
Yep.
The lease rent other property. That is one. Lease rent other property.
Is that from revenue?
On revenue.
Oh,
You said what it was.
yeah,
Okay.
that's all the
Never mind.
other folks in the building.
Got it, okay.
And the rent of the 4-H building is in that
Yeah.
line item.
You stated earlier that this budget doesn't support Master Gardener or open campus. Explain that a little, maybe?
Yeah, so this year, the open campus program received $25,000 for their, support of that program in the county, and the Master Gardener, was 21,000. And that covered, 0.2 FTE of a program assistant coordinator. And so, there still is, OSU faculty with tri-county responsibilities, for community and home horticulture. The staff talked about, it was too late for this summer, although this summer, most of this summer is still covered by this budget, so, Master Gardener, plant clinics could still be occurring, in Crook County this summer or most of the summer. And, next winter, staff has expressed an interest themselves in attending and participating in the Master Gardener training, so that service can be provided next summer. And again, next year, the following year is kind of up in the air what might happen with what staffing for that program might look like. But faculty have also committed to any material insects that come into the office. If there's not a Master Gardener plant person gonna be in the office, that they go through Redmond on a regular basis, that they can transport those materials to the Redmond office. So.
Can I ask a question? As far as Pintos goes, do we receive any feedback or concerns from our school district on us not supporting Pintos?
I haven't heard anything.
There's no letters or anything.
No.
There is another program. What is the name of it? It's ED something else. It's
All
supposed.
better together.
Anyway, that supposedly does also meet the needs of that program, supposedly.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, Pintos, like, I'll just say my 2 cents. I don't know if it's the time or place, but I wish somebody was here on behalf of the school district, just being in the school district, what they offer, the amount of Ford scholars that David has produced for Crook County, and full ride, college, like full rides for students from Crook County School District that are going through the Pintos program. I'm bummed they're not here because I guess I didn't know the dollar amount, but when you said 25,000 for Open Campus, which I don't know if that's David or if that's David and.
No, it's David's FTE.
If it's just David's FTE, the amount of money that he helps our graduates earn as seniors is well above that. And I just know because I've been on, not.
So the stuff that Jennifer gave us last meeting,
Mhm.
showed that that he had very few this year that he was directing, 1 or 2 individuals. So I don't know, yeah, historically, I think the numbers were fairly high, like in the low teens. But again, this year, the stuff that Jennifer gave us, the handout she provided last time, this year was having almost zero impact. Individuals there.
I just know in the last 2 years, we've had a couple different presidential, I wish I wasn't planning on talking about it. When you said the 25,000 and I'm seeing the increased like, it looks like there's like a gap and then it's like, we're all up from here. And then I think 25,000 to lose that program for our students and lose those relationships and then to start it the next year, hopefully, when the money comes back. I don't know, 25,000 is definitely less than a full ride scholarship, and I know we've had presidential board scholars the last 2 years that he's been working with in Joseph. And one of them works for Crook County now, like she's already back and working, that's been a couple of years ago. That she received it, and she was a Hooten's kid. So, It might not
It's
have
my
the numbers
numbers.
just this year. Yeah, I don't know if the numbers would be out because the scholarship season doesn't close until like,
So they aren't even announcing the scholarships until I think this Thursday.
yeah. So by the end of this year, I would expect that those Centos kids will be going fairly well, as they usually do.
It is tough because the program reach that we got, it did also look like there was duplicates with like the Avid program in high school. And so it was tough to kind
I
of,
think Juntos pushes into Avid, like the Avid kids are kids like in middle school that they're trying to like, they're usually first generation kids that are gonna be going to college for the first time, so Avid really starts working with them in middle school, and then Juntos kind of pushes in and hits their demographic of the Avid kids, and then as they get to high school, Juntos becomes its own.
There's Avid in high school.
Yeah, there's Avid and Juntos in both, in the high school, like two separate. But Juntos is OSU extension and Avid is through the school district.
Yeah, the original contribution to that program from Crook County was to open campus. It was the open campus program, and with Juntos being a subcategory of what was being done. And I'm not sure when the priorities of the funding switched from open campus activities to strictly Juntos.
It's not strictly Juntos. Jennifer's still serving Crook County through the open campus program. It's just the money goes towards the Juntos.
Right, so the Crook County dollars are 100% Juntos. And the
Yeah.
Crook County dollars used to go to open campus.
Yeah. And
Which-
difference being that Jennifer didn't,
And does open campus oversee Juntos? Because Juntos is still wonderful regardless of how the stream of money is going.
Yeah, well, open campuses are, yeah, I mean, I don't even,
is an umbrella.
Jennifer's like, okay,
yeah.
And within that is like, certification, technical education, workforce development, economic development, and the skills program are all within the umbrella of open campus.
I am curious about the Master Gardener program and its connection with the community, because it does seem like gardening's big in this community, and looking at those highlights, it seems like it's a good investment, point two, and we're getting a lot of volunteers, a lot of events. I'm wondering if we could explore options for funding that and taking from something else.
One of the suggestions was to send one or both of our county employees to that, so that when people came in the door to the counter, we had Janelle or Carmen who would be able to answer questions.
And you still have Amy Jo. Amy Jo's job still is the 3 counties to deliver community horticulture and the Master Gardener program.
And like the community garden, it looked like there was some work the extension does with those programs. Do we know if that work will be replaced
Where,
with the
So Amy
community
Jo
gardens?
does commercial horticulture, but Lisa Cowan is now the master gardener coordinator. So there is it's a fine line, but there is a distinction. So the volunteer management piece, some of it's gonna look a little different. I'm not exactly sure how yet.
Will we be able to cover that volunteer management?
Volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So with any of these, when funding decreases, we have to find other revenue sources. And that sometimes is grants or other counties putting in dollars. And so then the focus is gonna shift more to the deliverables of that grant or those counties.
I've got a question. I wasn't in on the rewriting of it said in the thingy that there was a rewriting of job descriptions or something like that. Was part of that, if there is someone who would like to do like master gardener, master preserver, whatever, that they could get funding to do those programs? No.
no.
Okay.
No, the rewrite of the job descriptions and the savings this year in salary costs is what brought down the deficit spending. The deficit would have been well over $100,000 this year, based on the budget that was approved last year and the spending path we were headed on. But the salary savings was about $50,000 in rewriting. And so that carries now into next year. That's already that's in the budget, so. There's no more savings. The savings
Right.
was, we just reduced deficit spending.
I heard Janice's question a little differently. I saw a draft position description that at least in one of the two positions had a bullet point about taking the master gardener training and having that be a job role for, I think, Gina's position. And presumably there'd be professional development funds to cover that training and increase proficiency. Was that?
That was my question.
Is that true, that there's a line in Gina's
Well,
PD that says she may do this?
yeah, I thought I explained that, yes.
That was my
Actually,
question.
both people have said they'd be interested, but it may be just in Gina's, I can't remember the exact wording and, but again, that training's not available till next winter.
Right,
Again, we have dollars in, first of all, extra help, that will cover office, if she were attending a training and Carmen was somewhere else in order to maintain, somebody in the office during those at work hours. That's what the extra help line item is for. And then in the professional development line item, of which covers both faculty and staff, there's, that it costs dollars to register for Master Gardener.
mhm.
And so those costs would be covered by the district, not by Gina. She'd have the service district car to drive to Redmond for the trainings, so she
That was
wouldn't
my
have.
question. Oh,
Okay.
so there is ability for staff to
Correct. Yeah.
do that, and
Yeah,
I don't
she
know,
should- The
either
staff
one of
wouldn't
them.
experience no out-of-pocket
Right,
expense.
okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
None of you are interested in the preservation or master preserver, are you?
I think it's fascinating. My grandma would be really angry, but I'm not like, heck yeah. But grandma's probably like rolling over in her grave right now. She was very proud of her canned peaches. They were always very beautiful.
No, Glenda Hyde, the office had staff who was certified master food preserver. And the primary function of that certificate, at least as the community utilized the service, was to certify the pressure gauges on canning lids.
Yeah,
And
but we could still get that done like in Deschutes County.
I don't know with Glenda's retirement,
Oh.
what is happening with that program.
Actually was in here last week. And she tested somebody's pressure canner for them last week. And actually talked about setting up a couple of food preservation classes this fall.
Oh, cool.
So we've got tentative dates on the calendar. We have a volunteer in Crook County who is healing very slowly from a shoulder surgery, who is one of her big go-tos in the county. And so I think they're just trying to let her heal that and then see how things go.
Okay, cool.
Just another service that has been provided.
Mhm. Cool. Any more community comments or questions?
So the master gardener, go back to that for a minute, that was just a stopgap measure this year, and will it be next year as well? We had made other arrangements to cover the master garden.
So I use the word suspend, because the charge I had was to stop deficit spending, and this budget still deficit spends, but provides a glide path out of deficit spending back into a positive revenue expenditure for the 27-28 year. In the 27-28 year, revenue is expected to increase almost $130,000. And so that $130,000 could be, some of it's gonna get allocated to always increasing personnel costs, always increasing some operating costs. But I would suspect there's a big chunk at the end that says, what do you wanna do with it?
That's what you was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you can choose to spend it, you can choose to reduce the tax rate and lighten the load of the taxpayers if you think that's significant. If you don't think that's significant, might be just a couple of pennies per tax lot. So. But that's a future decision.
Yeah,
But
So-
one that you should be anticipating.
so is there any other public comment to be, come before the budget hearing?
I had one, Gordon and I were talking that if it would help, we could make do with one pickup and share it and sell the other one. I don't know if that's gonna make a difference or not, but we wanted to throw it out there.
And we did just buy a brand new vehicle that was much needed. But then we also are putting 30,000 in the vehicle reserve fund.
Yeah, so the 30,000 has been in that fund for the last 2 cycles. It's there in case you crash the car. It's there in case the car has something non-insurable happen to it that makes it unusable and you need to replace it. It's a holding deal. And again, as I said, there's no intention because again, knowing the status of the vehicles in the motor pool, there's no reason to replace any vehicle because of mileage and or age. So if the philosophy's always been, if you add a little bit every year, it never hurts, but over time you accumulate enough that when the time comes to replace it, you've got the money in savings, you don't have to dig deep and give up something else. Same with the building fund. The building fund actually got spent down this last fiscal year, so it needs to start building again. The reason I picked 25,000 is it was 30,000 last year. And so 25,000 is with the age of the 2 buildings, the size of the 2 buildings, the cost of if you had to address heating, cooling systems, 25 would just probably cover some of that stuff. Eventually, the parking lot's gonna need to be addressed again. Buildings are gonna need a paint job, both inside and out. And again, never know when a furnace or a heat pump's gonna go, so I would encourage, that fund needs to be built over time to have about $50,000-$60,000 in it on an annual basis. It doesn't, again, it's not gonna be there all at once, but if you add $10,000 a year for the next couple of years, cross fingers, no major things go gunny bag, you'll be at that $50,000-$60,000 relatively quickly. And then every year you can kind of hover in there, even with, a major expense coming up. Some you can budget for, ahead of time, like the parking lot, a paint job. Some will be unanticipated because a furnace goes gunny bag.
And Tim, were the furnace to go gunny bag, which is a new one for me, or the somebody like totaled the vehicle in a way that insurance wouldn't cover it. Tell me the relationship between these funds and the contingency on that unexpected act of God
So,
emergency.
Sure, so contingency funds are set aside to address some sort of emergency cost that you couldn't foresee ahead of time. The purpose of the budget is to budget for expenses that you can foresee coming. There are just things that you don't know. The parking lot could get a humongous sinkhole, you only got $25,000 in the pot, it's $100,000 cost. You gotta have funds to cover the sinkhole, so, it's an emergency fund. The other 260,000, we used to put that in what we call an unappropriated ending fund balance. And when it was in the unappropriated ending fund balance, you couldn't touch it, period, during the 12 months of the fiscal year. You had to wait till the new fiscal year started. The way that this budget's created, that $262,000 is like a super secret savings account. And if you really had, something pop up, you could go through a supplemental budgeting process, which requires this group to come back. It requires public notice in the newspapers, hearings. You can appropriate some or all of that 262,000 if you needed it. But it really is there to roll over into next fiscal year. And the next fiscal year, the rule of thumb always used to be you needed enough dollars in the ending fund balance to support operations for the first 5 months of the year, because property taxes don't come until November, the first group.
So here I'm overstretching a little bit, but you can ignore me. I hear you on the put a little away on the building to build up the 50, 60, $75,000, and you've got to do that incrementally. On the vehicle, you put half or 2/3 of a vehicle in 1 year, and insurance will pay for something. And there's some question if we need a third vehicle. We have a 2024 Explorer and a 2020 F-150, 2017 F-150 and a 2014 F-150. And I don't know what their like annual cumulative mileage is together, but it's not extraordinary. And if an asteroid struck one of them, we needed another this fiscal year, we would use, and insurance wouldn't pay for it, we would use contingency for it. This is a big stuffing, handfuls of money into the piggy bank for another vehicle in the year when we're making cuts in other places that at least are arguably important to us. That's my overreach is I think there's some thought in that. Do we need to put $30,000 away for another vehicle in this year versus trying to wait 2 years, and even if that means separating 2 vehicles because something catastrophic happens?
Well, the 2 vehicles, that's costing you probably less than $1,000 a year. And that's mostly your insurance on one of them. Insurance is probably your total insurance bill is $9,000. That covers vehicles, that covers liability, that covers buildings. Each one of those is a separate policy, but they all add up to $9,000. So you might say $500-600 if you thought because all the vehicles are paid for. You're not making payments, you're not making, you're not changing tires and oil changes that much. Again, and gas, doesn't matter if you're running gas in 2 vehicles or gas in 3 vehicles, gas is gas. So.
Again, my comment was that there are days when there are 2 vehicles out in the world. There are very few days when there are 3 vehicles out in the world on the same day. And so as we think about the emergencies to come, if some vehicle were to be in the shop for 6 months or waylaid, waiting for the transmission rebuild for the next budget cycle, it's not that we would have reduced service capacity because we were not able to immediately purchase a new vehicle in this coming budget cycle.
Yeah, it's a savings account. That's all it is. We all have different philosophies on savings accounts. And if you always spend your savings account, you don't ever have a savings account. So,
But even if you sold one of the vehicles, it's not going to be
no,
$30,000. It would be like $5,000.
yeah.
Perhaps the budget committee could consider taking 21,000 out of the vehicles to fund the Master Gardener program. And they'd still have 9,000 for savings. Just something to put on the table.
Any other comment? Okay, seeing no other I have to do it 3 times.
No.
Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Seeing no comments, sorry. We will close the public comments portion of this hearing. Budget committee discussion. Are there any questions about the budget that's been presented? Maybe you have one. I'm just trying to figure out what the department entry requested, the requested rounded and the proposed.
Yeah, so it just rounds, the software that the county uses rounds to the nearest thousand.
Oh, so that's why they took out the credit card charges.
Yeah, because we only,
That, I mean, it's
yeah,
not
it's a
that,
rounding.
got it, okay, well,
Some are rounded down, some are rounded up. And
I got it, okay. Cause I was like, okay. Is that going to be an issue? Do we? Carmen? Do we take a lot of credit card payments?
No, not typically.
Okay. That was my
We
question.
take the 4-H enrollments, we'll take a couple Red Book. Usually those, the ranchers pay in cash. What else do we pay? Oh, the Clover Building, we do take in, those
Oh, okay.
deposits will go through that typically, sometimes change, but I wouldn't say it's a huge thing.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And we're still budgeting $300 for those fees, even though they're dashes in the columns. Is that right?
yeah, they just, it won't, it ends up showing up in the category expense when you, if you were to add up the numbers.
It's there.
Yeah, so the issue with spending is you can underspend or overspend a single line item. You cannot overspend a category. In the old days, categories used to be personnel, materials and services, and capital expenses. Now it's one. So basically you're going, and since we're not talking about changing any revenue side of this equation, this budget anticipates spending $852,000. And so, as long as you don't overspend $852,000, there's not a requirement to go back and supplemental budget and spend the $50,000 in contingency.
So the Gardner program that you're talking of, $21,000, does it take that much to fund it, or can you have less than that to fund it, or?
So the agreement originally, when Kim Herbert was the office manager, is we wanted to build more of a regional Master Gardener emphasis. All of the support was coming from Deschutes County. So Deschutes County covers all of Amy Jo Detweiler's costs. Deschutes County pays for half, while they pay for a full administrative program assistant, who not only supports the Master Gardener program, but the Central Oregon Ag newsletter, some of Gordon's work. And then pay for Tony Steffen, if you remember Tony, fully paid by Deschutes County. And so the emphasis was very Deschutes County. And so I proposed that we create a tri-county model And then based on the usage at the time, like the community demand for the program at the time, we figured out this 70-20-10 split. 70% Deschutes, 20% Crook County, 10% Jefferson County. And that was for this new position, which was a master gardener coordinator position, which would then free Amy Jo Detweiler up to do a little more of what she's so good at, which is this applied research and creating really useful publications like Xerit Water-Wise Gardening, Fire Resistant Plant Guide, all of her publications and her work. She could focus on doing professor things, and then Lisa could focus on the volunteer management, because as we can attest, volunteer management is a big job. And we knew that the program would grow slowly. That was the vision. So, when Kim wrote the first budget, it included money for 0.2 of Lisa's salary and 0.2 of annual travel budget. So support for Lisa's travel, other supplies and services expenses. Rebecca didn't write it that way in this last budget. It was just Master Gardener program support.
Actually, Kim's message, because I went back to Kim's message, it was for program support. The original program support for Master Gardener came from the green industry. When Amy Jo would have conferences in Deschutes County for professional landscapers and whatnot, they paid a registration fee, and that registration fee paid for all the Master Gardener services that was OSU Extension provided in the three counties. Over time, the green industry stopped supporting that program. One, because there were lots of other trainings that those individuals could go to get their certification credits. And so fewer were coming to the Extension Green Conference. So that's when the other two counties were looked to provide some support for the Master Gardener training, because trainees for the volunteer side came from all three counties. Jefferson, not much, and Jefferson has hardly ever provided many support dollars. Crook provided support dollars for the program to be used for salary and support, but it was never, the dollar amount was never separated salary versus like travel. It was a flat dollar amount. This year we were being billed for both salary and travel expenses. That's when we went back and found the old language that said it was just support. And again, historically, the three county, wherever a program resided, the county that played home to that program provided 100% of the support dollars, even though the program was multi-county. We never sent a bill to any other county for support. So Milan and Gordon's position spent a lot of time in Deschutes County. We never ever sent a travel bill to Deschutes County.
Well, and for the most part, that's still true. Like Amy Jo.
Yes,
Jenna,
but the Master Gardener program is, I'm just explaining the history of all, and the master program has always come out of Deschutes County. The trainees, even the trainees that are trained in Crook County, spend the majority of their volunteer time in the Deschutes office. It's very, very difficult to schedule a Master Gardener with certainty into the Crook County Extension office on a weekly basis. And they are supposed to be in the office to do plant clinics every Wednesday afternoon. And there are a ton of Wednesday afternoons during the horticulture season when there's not a volunteer in the office. And so last year, Lisa tried to fill the void. When a volunteer couldn't come, she tried to come. That wasn't 100% either. So you're paying for a service that has some glitches in how it's delivered to Crook County. I'm not saying there isn't an opportunity. You gotta figure out how much deficit you wanna spend. You gotta figure out, can you cover whatever are the important issues on a short-term basis, knowing that in 12 months you can fix it. But that's what you gotta figure out, and I'm gonna provide the advice I'm gonna provide, but I'm not a voting person. There's 5 of you that get to vote, so,
Well, to me, the $30,000, that's about a third cost of a pickup anymore, depending on what you
Yeah.
get, but
It's not gonna,
they're terrible. I just priced them a couple weeks ago.
$60,000 for a F-150.
Yeah, so I mean, that won't even buy
But
one rig, it might buy a third of one or a half of one, but, anyways, the way I'm looking at this, I think Tim was asked to do what he did.
and he did a good
I
job.
think he did a good job. And I think we got an opportunity next year, but we're being told that there could be some more revenue coming in and stuff, and then we'll have an opportunity to decide how we wanna spend that extra revenue. So the way I'm looking at this, I like the budget the way it was written and stuff, and then I think next year we take a good hard look at these other things that we're talking about.
I
And-
agree.
Just when Scott and I were in high school and in 4-H, we could come to the extension office at the courthouse, and Kathy Green was the secretary. I don't know what you call them. You're not the secretary, whatever you are. And she did both of those jobs there, Carmen and Gina's job. And she looked at bugs and she looked at plants, and I think there is a great opportunity if you are able to do the Master Gardener program. That would be of a great service to our county, because like Tim is saying, I've come in with questions and there was no one here on the volunteer day. And I have asked several times of Amy Jo when she's been here, how many days do we have a volunteer here? I've asked her, how many people from Crook County are doing the Master Gardener program? She tells me, I think it was 8. How many days do they spend in the office? I don't know. That was the answer I got, and I've asked year after year after year. So what Tim is saying is not, what do you call it when you exaggerate it? So we have been lacking in what we've been spending, we've been lacking in what we're getting back from that 0.2 FTE, I believe. And I think it would behoove us as a county to provide the resources and to get a trained Master Gardener in the office. And yes, I would love to see a Master Food Preserver also, but that's okay. We can get that when we can. So
yeah, no,
I do like,
Yeah, I think, the volunteers are needed, and hopefully the volunteers will keep being trained, and hopefully, the volunteers will come and do plant clinics. That's been that way forever, but again, I go back to, some of you remember Sherry Beck, and then Pam Wiederholt, and then Kim, and, the whole slew of people that have been in that front office have gone through the Master Gardener training. No, they didn't devote their entire job to, playing plant clinic, but if somebody brings in a specimen on a Thursday afternoon and that specimen has to sit around till the next Wednesday, You know, it was a service to the community that says, hey, well, we can get your answer because somebody else can answer it. But if there was a master gardener, we knew if sample came on Monday, and we knew someone was coming Wednesday, they'd put it in the refrigerator and, you know, Pam, Sherry, whoever, they wouldn't answer the question. They would save it for the master gardener to come because we knew they were coming, but it's just, we never know they're coming. And that's that's the response I get when I talk to Carmen and Gina, that they share an office with me, so I know when they're around, and it's just, you know, it's not consistent enough that, you know, but if you wanna, you know, move some dollars around and, you know, maybe work on a better agreement, something that's more in concrete, you know, maybe those are options, but it's certainly gonna be an option next year. Who knows? I mean, you can could have maybe afford your own sort of gardener coordinator kind of thing and work with Lisa and Amy Jo, but
Well, I think that the Master Gardener program is really important, and I mean, I'd like to see us solve that more permanently. And maybe just keep the budget the way it is written this year, and then work on that over the next year in terms on how we want to go about solving that problem. But not necessarily do it this year.
Any more comments from the budget committee?
I think Tim was tasked with a very difficult job here because we were in deficit. And I think, yes, we do have to, and I agree totally with you, and I agree totally with Jerry. Yes, it would be nice to be able to have all these things, but we need to correct and get on a correction. And next year we can focus on what programs we want back. So I wholeheartedly know that Tim did a good job and spent a lot of time on this, so I support his decisions.
well, and if you were to decide to take 21,000 out of the vehicle, know that you're gonna spend that 21,000. If you leave it in the vehicle, you're not gonna spend it. And by not spending it, you're already 49,000 deficit spending next year. And if you decide to spend it, now you're $70,000 deficit spending. So
And
it's a decision, and certainly there are monies there. But it's just, you know, how deep down do you wanna dig?
yes.
And
I've been at the finance department and I've seen the finance on this and we need correction. And I do commend Gordon and Scott for wanting to give up a pickup. Unfortunately, it's not $150,000 pickup that we can get $149 for. You know, but I commend you guys. I think that was very good of you.
Thank you.
Okay, the budget committee, are there any other discussion? I need a motion of some kind.
I have a draft for the budget committee. Let's see, there's four.
Yeah, Tim has done, he had a hard job, just like we all had a hard job when it comes to financing. And I think he's shown us a way to get out of the deficit spending.
I'll just share with you.
And, you know, it's not here, it's kind of a countywide thing. However, our county is better than a lot of counties that are really in serious problems. And in order to make sure that we're not one of those counties that's in serious problems, we have to learn how to not spend so much money.
Yeah.
And we have to unfortunately give up things that we like.
So the best part is I've worked real closely with Carmen and Gina as we played with numbers and tried to figure things out. And so I think Carmen next year will do a fine job playing budget officer and the county has a couple of great people in the treasurer's office that have also been great help. Jamie Berger and Christina, thank you, yep.
I figured you needed help there.
And so, I mean, they're the number crunchers really over there, so. they're the ones that put the forecast together that shows that there is a way out of this hole.
Well, it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement, so I will move that the Budget Committee of the Crook County Agricultural Extension Service District of Crook County, Oregon, approve the budget for 2027 fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, proposed in the amount of $852,000.
I second that.
Thank you. It's been moved by Jerry and seconded by Laura. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, do we have to do a individual?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Laura, do you, aye or no?
Aye.
Right,
Barney, aye.
Farmer guy.
Rubber eye.
Flagel, aye. The motion passed.
Okay, so next steps, is this, what's that?
We need to, approve the.
Oh, the tax, you're right. Yep, thank you, sorry.
I need a motion from the budget committee to approve the, tax for the taxing the special district.
Let's see, I move that the Budget Committee of the Crook County Agricultural Extension Service District of Crook County, Oregon, approve property taxes for the 2027 fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, in the amount of 0.12, what would that be, 0.1207, 12.07 cents per 1,000 of assessed value for the permanent rate tax levy.
Second.
Laura moved and Jerry seconded. Is there any discussion on the text? Okay. Say yes or no. So Laura,
Aye.
Barney, aye.
Farmer guy.
Rubber eye.
and Flagel, aye. The motion passed unanimously. I close the budget meeting for the 26-27 budget.
So in closing for me, the next steps are that a budget approval notice will be posted in the newspaper. It will probably be the last week of May. Has to be 5 days before June 3rd. And on June 3rd, it will go before the county commission for their approval and levying of taxes and setting the categories.
All right.
Will you be presenting that?
Yes. And that's at a regularly scheduled commission meeting, so that is a public meeting as well.
Okay, moving on to the advisory committee business. For the committee, we need to select a chair for this year. So
Janice, are you willing to do it
I
again?
am willing to do it again.
I'd like to make a motion that Janice Flagel be the chair in the 26-27.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor by Brett Dunn that Janice Flagel be the chair. And it was seconded by Laura York, correct? Is there any discussion? Okay, Jerry,
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Jan-
Everybody gets to vote.
Yeah. Janice, Tori,
Aye.
Brett,
I,
okay.
and Susie and Brian as well.
Oh, they
Do we
do?
get to
No,
vote
no,
on
no.
this?
Yeah, they're on the advisory committee, the three commissioners and then.
Okay, Herman, aye.
Okay.
Barney, I.
I didn't think
It
we
was a
got to vote on
unanimous
this.
vote. The motion passed. Okay. Now we will ask Nicole Strong to present her updates for OSU.
I had two business items, but, technology snafu seems to be the way things are going for me, so we'll table the second one of the strategic plan till the fall meeting. Get into, OSU Extension has a new strategic plan, some of you may have gotten survey invitations or focus group invitations, and we're now in like implementation phase. A lot of us are serving on teams to implement that, and, I think it's timely as you all start envisioning the future of what you want Crook County Extension to look like. And see where we're in alignment, where we need to tweak and how we can like build synergies for moving forward long term. In the short term, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the budget. If you recall, I've done some 101 budget stuff in the past, but Extension is like three-legged stool of funding. We have federal funding, state funding, and then local funding. The federal funding piece comes through either capacity and formula grants, which really is a detriment to our western states because they're based on number of farmers and number of small farmers. So it's like southern states and midwestern states that are all private land with many, many, many farmers. They get a lot of federal dollars towards extension, and then western states that are like half public land, big ranches, less numbers of farmers, we get less federal dollars. So our federal allocation is about 6% of our annual budget. And that number is decreasing over time. Happy to send somebody a link on how that works if you want to dig in. The state budget, huge kudos to Brett, who he just like really went above and beyond with sending emails and letters to folks advocating to make sure that the Higher Education Coordinating Committee didn't cut the OSU statewide budget, which is Extension, Forest Research Lab, and Ag Experiment Station. So that was preserved, but also know that that is the allocation we got for this biennium was less than what we asked for continued service level. So the three-legged stool feels sometimes a little wobbly because of decreasing revenue and these other sources. We're really good at leveraging other opportunities, applying for competitive grants, local philanthropy to try to make up that difference. But do know that the next biennium is coming up soon, so we're gonna ask for folks who are willing to write letters, go to Salem, do all of that to make sure that we stay full and can fill vacancies should they occur. Yeah, and if you ever want to dig deeper into how the budget works and looking at dashboards and data, I'm happy to provide that for you. But I did want to just say thank you for this biennium and heads up that the next biennium's coming, and as you've seen in the news, the state has a lot of cuts they need to make, so they're looking at hard decisions as well. And higher education is especially, we're ranked like between 44 and 46 nationally on funding higher education in terms of like per student allocation. And so the university turns around and that's how we see all those. They have the lever of tuition. We don't have a lever of tuition necessarily, and we wouldn't want to implement one because our job is to serve the community. So that is all I wanted to say was thank you, and we're good for now, and seems like the next biennium's always here, huh? We'll be back to it. Do you have any extension, admin, statewide questions? No?
I wanted to say thank you to Brett for
Yeah.
the letter that you sent and was a good thing that I could copy and send to all.
Oh, good. I only think
Thank you.
Francie included me, but if the rest of you sent letters too, thank you so much. I know the Central Oregon hay growers also
Mhm.
It's
Kind of letter.
easy to write letters when you're believing what you're writing
Yeah, that was evident.
and supporting.
Very true.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. All right. Faculty and staff updates.
I believe my colleagues this afternoon said they had no more than 45 seconds. And we'd probably be generous and give them 90, but then you'll ask questions if you want more. We're not doing this like 20-minute PowerPoint monologue thing, but. And I don't actually know folks have to think. Was telling you. But let me tell you
Where's
about
your 45 seconds?
my 45 seconds. I use it. So, last week, put out a spray trial for insecticides for alfalfa weevils. I've told you about, resistance to pyrethroids. Included a couple of those old materials, some new ones that are on the market today, and some that should come out in next season or the one thereafter. That's in Madras. I've been to 3 or 4 farms with winter grain mites, which are like an occasional but difficult pest on, orchard grass or Timothy hay. And have cropped up this spring, probably from warm, dry weather, as has been the funny case of our spring. I told you about irrigation trial in Madras.
Well, tell me on the, weevil, what is your, besides pyrethroids?
6 treatments, the pyrethroid lambda-cyhalothrin, the organic, option, spinosad trust, which we don't think is very effective. Steward or, indoxacarb is like sort of current state of the art, but is like very expensive relative to the pyrethroids, but it works and there's no resistance. And then planazoline or isocycloserum is a new material, coming out on the market, produced by Syngenta. It got EPA approval for ag crops in December, and alfalfa will be like a second tier kind of ag crop after.
Oh, so it's not approved
It
yet?
is not approved yet, but it is, far enough along that it's not just sort of like exploratory. The intention is that it will be labeled for alfalfa. I can't comment on how expensive it will be, but in trials in California, it works.
Okay.
Orchard grass is heading in my variety trial, and as, same thing with the irrigation trial I've got going, and so I'm ordering 1,000 paper bags and getting my data sheets ready. And then have been working to, with some discretionary funds that I have access to that are carryover from some grants and some other things, to hire a half-time helper to be an extra pair of hands as I go like sneeze through walking behind the harvester on harvesting all these plots and getting things like.
So, again, it's all orchard grass. And it's all deficit and regular irrigation.
2 studies, one that is 50 varieties of orchard grass, and they're all straight orchard grasses, 200 plots. Another project is looking at, the old drought tolerant orchard grass called Paiute, next to new modern, orchard grass called Quick Draw or something. And then the 5-way mix that Helena sends, that's orchard grass, tall fescue, Timothy, perennial ryegrass, and meadow brome. And those then have full irrigation, halfway irrigated season long, cut it off after first cutting, cut it off after second, and a myriad combination of less than both full to less than full water. And those irrigation treatments will just start at first cutting here shortly.
So you haven't started irrigation? Okay.
We've started irrigation on.
Oh, you
They've been getting, they got planted last fall and so are getting a like spring's worth of irrigation, but at first cutting, they'll then.
Then it will be the deficit. Okay, got it. Okay.
Is the 5-way deal their Central Oregon pasture mix? Is that what they call that?
I think they call it like Central Oregon Premium Pasture Mix. I
Pasture.
never quite know their like trade names for them, but 5-way blend is.
It's gotta be premium.
It's the good stuff.
Is the meadow brome, in your opinion, is that a good one to have in the 5?
Those kind of like mixtures, you're sort of trying to cover all your bases, where in a like deficit irrigated situation. I expect the meadow brome and probably like the tall fescue to like sort of shift in proportion, and the like lusher timothy and orchard grass to reduce. It begs some question, yeah, and I don't, if you could know just exactly the one, if you were always going to have a deficit, get rid of the orchard grass and timothy and just plant your most drought tolerant, but just sort of cover all your bases. I'm interested in this. This will be another good exercise for me and my helper. We'll like cut at ground levels, small samples, and then just sit and sort them. And we'll do this over a couple of years under the different treatments and like weigh. And so my hypothesis is that over time, we have a higher proportion of tall fescue and meadow brome in the deficit treatments, and we maintain a better proportion of the orchard grass and timothy in the well-watered ones. I'll show you some data over time.
So on the Paiute versus the quick draw.
Yeah.
But it's
Have
not
you-
his fault.
No,
Have
saying
you
it's
looked
close.
at the data of nutritional data or palatability?
We'll do some.
I mean, when you were choosing those two.
No, because despite what the seed companies tell you, there is so little difference
Okay.
in one orchard grass versus another. With the driving factor on like feed quality within like a species of grass, it's just how early or late it is and like how stemmy it ends up being the day you harvest it. And
Because
so we could square them to be the same if we harvested the perfectly boot stage on one and the
Okay.
other, or
all right.
but I will, when, at least on like second growth, when everything is leafy and there are no stems or seed heads to like confound it, we'll do some side-by-side feed quality on
Okay.
those two and on the big 50 variety trial. And
Because like Paiute is not only supposed to be drought tolerant, it's supposed to be salt tolerant.
that may be, I know less about salt issues.
So in the range world, Paiute orchard grass was sold as a dryland orchard grass.
Mhm.
The reality is it needs summer moisture to maintain the stand. So in an irrigated situation, under deficit irrigation, depends on how deficit you are. I mean, if you're going from 3 feet to 18 inches, I would not suspect any real production differences in Paiute. Because Paiute's in dryland seedings is supposed to be good down to 14 inches annual precip. But again, we can find 14-inch precip zones in central Oregon. The problem is it's winter precip, it's not summer precip, and so it's the summer, without a summer thunderstorm on a regular basis, Paiute's not a good choice in a rangeland seeding.
We don't have, right, there's not dry land orchard grass around, but I include it and complicate my experiment because it might tolerate those stresses
No, I think,
better.
yeah, I
And
think
so
it's a good choice for deficit irrigation. In rain, as I said, in range settings, it becomes kind of a sales job. As a dryland orchard grass when it's not really, because it needs summer precip. I mean, it's a cool season grass, so most of its growth is in the springtime.
I look forward to your data.
And you know this,
I'll send you a map and a list of my stuff.
did Mylan ever
Yes,
finish his
yes.
forage quality work on some of his trials?
I just was thinking when you said thousands of paper bags, I'm like, I thought we just got rid of that.
There are some forage quality data from Mylan's studies. He, in terms of like the first cuttings, which is the place where you're gonna get the most of the yield and have the most of the effect of feed quality, for like the really complicated logistical reasons, picked a single day and harvested everything. And so the varieties that are early on that date are then more mature and a little like woodier. And the varieties and species that are late and haven't yet gone through flowering are lusher and then have better feed quality. And you just see the effect of maturity rather than the nuance of,
Mhm.
and yeah, the nuance of, is there actually something different about the cell walls of this leaf tissue that make it more digestible? It's a really like difficult thing, as I have made friends with the forage breeder out of UC Davis. He feels good about ignoring feed quality and saying it's like up to the farmers and the weather. And if you can get it when it's leaf, you can have excellent feed quality. And if you can't, you're gonna have poor feed quality. And the salesman's gonna try to tell you something different. And that's both my feeling and sort of defer to him that
I
he
think
does
you
this
are
professionally on that. So, yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
Risa.
I got 10 seconds. We just finished, the state knowledge contest in Redmond, and this year we sent more youth from Crook County than we did last year. We have several that are very excited and are working towards, wanting to make it to that national contest from there, so they're looking at working year round so that they're ready for next year. Different this year, we were also able to send 2 youth to do presentations, which we've never sent before, so. Coming up, this next month, we've got, workshop for showmanship etiquette, so that we can work on not just showing your animal, but making sure that you are being a good sportsman and different things like that.
When is that?
That is it's this week, Thursday.
Oh, no, okay.
We've got about 20 kids signed up for it. It's a very small number that the teacher wanted in the room because they will
Oh.
actually be showing each other
Hmm.
and being judged. It should be a fun class.
Okay, so they already had to be signed
Yeah,
up
they
for
should
it.
be already signed up. I still have a couple of spots available. If you've got somebody you want to send that you think
do.
would be good. The end of the month, we have our food skills and our sewing skills contest. And then in between, we've got a horse show and a small animal show, which will help our youth get ready for fair. Other than that, it's pretty slow in our office as we tread water until fair starts. So we're enjoying this month.
85 more days, guys.
Yes, Carmen's counting it down.
Oh, don't
That's
say
not all I
that.
have.
Favorite time of year.
You have plenty of volunteers for 4-H here this year?
We've got a nice group of volunteers. We had a lot of new volunteers start up. You know, as usual, you lose a few, but we've got quite a few more starting clubs. Still looking for those static areas, that sewing and that cooking. Our Clover Bug Club is going really strong. I've got about 20 kids in that club. I had to actually turn kids away because 25 to 8-year-olds is more than one person can handle. But the parents have been very supportive in it, and the kids seem to really be enjoying it. So, yeah.
And you said there's 439?
About 439 youth enrolled this year, yes.
Hi, so for family and community health, we're still wrapping up the phase out of SNAP Ed, which is the federal funding that's been cut statewide. With the transition, we've been given a bucket of our rollover, our carryover dollars to spend out for, regionally. So I'm on a team with, 2 other gals, Olivia Davis, which some of you might know from Jefferson County, Lauren Kramer out of, River County. And, we've used some of those dollars to, train some folks at the senior center here in town. Myself and Julie at the senior center are going to be offering Strong People starting in June, for physical activity for our senior population, with the hopes that we will actually be able to, find another place, possibly the athletic club or somewhere where we can have it open to, a different age, not just that demographic, but that does include like the full weight set and, storage of that, at the senior center. So we're super excited about that. I'm attending a forum for, rural population health starting tomorrow, and then, or excuse me, that's a 2-day conference. And then, also rural communities preparedness for disasters. So right now in my world, I'm functioning under SNAP Ed dollars until October. So this is still the carryover of these federal funds that are paying for my position and that are being used within our community. And then starting October, I'll be a 0.4 Crook County, 0.4, statewide or regionally, I guess, it's really regionally. And, once that happens, I already have a method that I'll be keeping track of that, but so 0.4 of my FTE will be spent here in Crook County, which it already is. Much more of that, my snap ed work is done in Crook County, very little is being done in the central region. But in the central region until when that does happen and I'm working 0.4, my counties are Wheeler and Gillum that I'm also helping, and they are both frontier counties, and they're so similar to Crook County in a lot of ways, or kind of how we were like 20 years ago, honestly, is what it feels like when I'm in those communities. So a lot of that is actually bringing in like their health department to partner with us and our health department, kind of tying things in to help bring them up to some service levels that we have here in Crook County. So there's a little bit of mentoring taking place, between our organizations. Yeah, I think that's kind of, right now, my big focus is rolling out these SNAP Ed dollars and trying to bring as much of that federal money into Crook County to spend it down, and because once it's gone, in October, it's gone, so we don't have those funds after that. So, our plans are mainly with the senior center right now, trying to push some of those dollars in, so.
Will the Wheeler and Gilliam, will they have the green bag?
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I want to say that too. So another thing, Susie's probably like, well, why didn't you say that? So we did the Crook County Greenbacks. We did just get a nice recognition from Senator Merkley when he was in town for the town hall. And we received a flag flown over the nation's capital, which was super awesome. We don't know what we're doing with that. It's at Christie's house right now, and we actually need to do something with it, but it's in a nice little box. Our green bag program here, yes, we're trying to get it into Wheeler, and it's really difficult. It'll take a bit of work because you have to have people that have a little more to give a little to kind of get that program going, and they really are a fairly, it's a frontier county and not a lot of people, so we're working with their health department right now to see, they have a teeny tiny food pantry that's open once a month in Wheeler County. And so people in the Fossil area, yes, are having to travel to Mitchell for that. So there's nothing in the, in Fossil, there's nothing there. And so that's actually where their health department is though, and so that's who I'm working with, Sarah. Susie's met Sarah, she's attended some coalition meetings here.
Is there one in Condon?
Yes.
And we put her with a process.
Yeah. And they may,
Yeah.
but that's not what I have going on right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Gina, did you want to say anything?
I got nothing. Just excited to serve.
All right, thank you. Carmen,
Business as usual.
yay.
We have a flock of sheep in our office. If you need some stuff to do, come visit us.
Gina has done a
Gina.
wonderful job setting up a demonstration for the International Year of the Pastoralist and the Rangeland. That Tim and I skirted a much larger responsibility of ferrying a large display all over Eastern Oregon, and instead we have a small flock of sheep and some coloring books and some really good stuff in there.
And I'm
Thank you,
happy
Gina.
to help you cut those sheep out.
All
I'll just
right.
bring my cricket in and we'll make it do it again. Other than that, yeah, just this.
I want to say you guys are always so happy and helpful when we go into the extension office. So thank you. Thank you. It really does set the tone for the community, and just want to say thank you.
Yes, just finished, did the Boots and Roots 400 fourth graders came through and we enlightened them, I hope. And we made it home in one piece at the end of the day, so it was that way. After you give the same spiel to how many fourth graders for 3.5 hours, it's surprising how it goes. I felt like I could run a half marathon.
Was it the same as a whole day of sixth graders?
Different. Lisa was different, but yeah, but you're right.
Did you
Yeah.
dream about it?
Yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying. I didn't get to the first. But yeah, and then, taught a toxic plants and pastures class in, Redmond. I did kind of switching back and forth between Prineville and Redmond, with classes. Saturday, we did a wild horse castration workshop. The OSU vet school came over. They brought a bunch of people this year. There was like 30 of them. And, they were able to do 20 horses, and help reduce the population there while the vet school gets in on training. And that's, very, beneficial for them, as you can imagine. And the Warm Springs folks appreciate it.
Could they just keep working? Could they just?
Yeah, keep going, yeah, no, yeah, we had them pretty tired by the end of the weekend, so. Then the next day, Sunday, we did a equine dental and, Coggins testing. There's quite a rodeo, contingency there in Warm Springs, and traveling out of state, you have to have the horses tested for equine infectious anemia, otherwise known as the Coggins test. And, we draw the blood, and not, I don't draw blood, but I help organize it and get it lined out, and they come and, thanked us profusely, for helping out with that. And then on the 21st of May, I have a raising freezer beef class, so how does go from point A, which I get phone calls on, you know, that if I wanna purchase an animal and then raise it to put in my freezer, what do I do? And we'll talk about that and, get people up to speed. And then finally, and Gordon and two other agents worked on a, intro to pasture management kind of, publication, and it's through peer review. And I'm just waiting on publications at Oregon State to put the finishing touches on it, and we'll have that done, somewhat on schedule. Takes a
Seems
while.
like you've been waiting forever.
I know, it takes forever to get these things through all the things, but that's what's been keeping me busy.
Okay. There any questions or any other information to come before the board? Right. I need a motion to adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I'll second
Brian.
it too.
Susie.
We've been doing budget all day.
All day long.
We are tired of budget.
Okay.
Budget or sixth graders?
I don't know, that is a concept.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Susan, I'm headed that way.
We are unanimous.
Very
and
much.
adjourned.
Nice.